Welcome to Contractor Cuts, where we cover the good, the bad, and the ugly of growing a successful contracting company.
Welcome to Contractor Cuts. My name is Clark Turner.
And I'm James McConnell.
That's right. Thank you for joining us again this week. So today we are talking about platypuses. No, we are talking about calendar management.
Oh.
Yeah, a little bit different. So we've been walking through the contractor operating system, and we are still on step 3, which is our process documentation. And one of the big parts of that is managing a calendar, getting yourself set up on your calendar to where we operate it a certain way, to where we can train a project manager that comes in underneath us to run their calendar. So A, there's accountability. B, there's an ability for me to see how you're planning out next week, what you're doing with your time, and really kind of help coach the project manager as well. And it's about efficiencies. It's about us being efficient with our time and being able to really not be reactive but proactive in how we're doing things. So today we're going to talk about that. One thing we want to hit on the top of the show is we have a really cool calendaring system in the software, ProStruct 360. It is a really, really cool feature. There's really 3 different calendars. There's 4 if you count the Gantt charts on the job level. But the Gantt charts are per job, and you can build out a Gantt chart. They all tie together. You assign the work out. You make work orders from there, and you can see, print out, and send to your clients the Gantt charts, send to your crews the Gantt charts, really lay out when things are going to happen on that. When you're doing that and when you're assigning out work, it then also shows up on the software-wide calendar. So there's a button on the left-hand column that says calendar. You go in there. You can view That's
a perfect name for that button.
Yeah, it's creative. Deep cut of calling it a calendar. But in that, you can pull it up and you can look at every job that you have going on, or you can switch over to a crew view. You can see every crew that you have assigned out throughout this month, next month, this week, next week, whatever you're looking at. And so you can view it by job or by crew. And then you have a third view called your task view. And that's getting into your personal calendar. We're going to be talking about that a lot today. But the task view is the software has automated tasks, and then you can also manually add tasks like next client contacts that you have to set up for when am I going to call this person again? When's the next time I contact this client? I'm going to put that date in there, and that turns into a task for that time and day on your calendar. And on your dashboard, it pops up and you got a task list. So it's like a to-do list on your dashboard, but if you go over to your calendar, you can really plot out everything and see when I'm going to be where. The way I get guys who are out running in the field, trying to get into a project manager role, trying to kind of grow to the next level within what they're doing, I say, listen, we got to own one day at a time. So if you're not managing your calendar, we're going to start with Tuesdays. Go into your software, pick out Tuesday, plot out what you're going to do. Tie it to the job that you're working on. Tie it to different categories, which we're about to talk about. But I want you to own one day a week on your calendar. Now let's go 2 days. Let's do Tuesdays and Fridays. The days I'm going to be in the office. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, you're out in the field. Great. Let's just own Tuesdays and Fridays and really plot out what has to be done this week for success. Where this really catches you, and we're gonna dive deep into kind of how we operate the calendars and good practices of operating a calendar. But what this does is the things that go on your back burner because there's fires that are popping up now have a space in your day. If I can set aside and say, hey, I need to work on subcontractor paperwork, I'm going to put an hour on Tuesday from 11 to 12, and I'm going to turn my phone off like I'm in an estimate, right? If I'm walking a large project with a client, I'm not answering my phone, responding to emails and text messages. I'm concentrated on the task that I'm at on that estimate, right?
I would even say, and this is something that's hard to do if you're like running a mile a minute, but taking everything off of your dashboard, like on your computer, you've got all these links pulled up, you got all these random tabs on your computer. I like to shut those all down and just open up the 1 or 2 tabs or 3, get real cheeky, the 4 tabs I need, instead of having all these other distractions on there to do what you're saying and to like focus your time specifically on what you're doing. It seems like a small thing, but it's actually kind of a big deal. Like at least for me, it stops me from wandering into other things. It helps me stay in the realm that I need to be in.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of like with what you're talking about, what we're saying, guys look at their calendar and think of it as a task to maintain. And where we want to push everybody is this is the starting point. If you can organize your calendar, you're spending time doing all this stuff. Why not be efficient with your time? And it's like if you don't have 10 minutes on Mondays to look at this week's calendar and line up what has to get done, that if we don't plan a time for it, it just goes to the back burner and you look up and it's 2 months later and you haven't done that thing. And now we're outside of our insurance audit because we didn't spend time doing that because, oh crap, I forgot to do that. If you can set that time up, if we can take 10 minutes on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every day, just in the morning, I'm going to look at my calendar. What do I need to get done? What's the most important stuff? What I'm going to build on my calendar as an event for myself, an estimate, a set aside time that I'm going to disengage from the chaos and the fires and actually make movement towards the company growing. And so that's what we're pushing. And this isn't like, hey, start using a calendar because it's the best way to do things. It's, hey, let's get your life organized. Let's get your company to where we're actually making movement towards growth, not just landing a job, not just executing material delivery, not just getting the in the weed stuff done on the jobs, but let's move the company to the next level. And this is one of the biggest steps that if you don't have the self-control to do this, you're not going to be able to grow the company to the next level. That's one of the big things we said on the retreat was talking about if you look at any businessman that you admire, any CEO of a company,
Any businessman.
Small Businessman Weekly.
Hello.
But if you look at
business.
any person, any contractor that you admire, any person that runs a decent sized company, this is a skill that they've honed in. There's no one running a decent $10 million company that just wakes up in the morning and figures out what they're doing that
What
day.
are you doing today? I don't know.
We'll see what fires pop up.
See where the wind takes me.
That's not how professionals run their jobs. And so for us, we always like most mentality of the guys that aren't growing are, well, when I get there, I'll start doing that. And what we're trying to push hard is you got to start doing it to get there. It's reverse. It's not, all right, well, once I get to 2 million, once I get to 10 million, then I'll start really honing in that. You're not going to get there unless you hone this in, unless you own your time. So
Yeah, why wait?
So James, take us through like, I think this is a good podcast for James to lead because he is literally he's taught me a lot about calendaring and time management. He is really good at that. Not naturally.
No.
It's a learned skill of once you start doing it, the first couple months, it's like working out. When you start getting going, it sucks. And once you're in it, it's like, this is great. And I don't know how I lived without it.
Yeah.
Or so I hear people say. But James is really good at it. And he's got kind of like, I said, James, pull together your notes on how you do it, like best practices. If you're going to train me to run a calendar and I don't know anything, kind of pull together how you do it, why you do it, and kind of some rules around why, what you would do and why, and situationally how like your normal week in and week out calendar looks.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I can do that.
Perfect.
Well, Clark, thanks for asking me because as you've said, this is something I really enjoy doing now, even though it's not a natural thing for me to do.
I would say it's close to a passion for you.
It's damn near close to a passion. So, and this is just how I do it. There's a million different ways to skin this cat.
Yep.
And you really need to kind of mess with a couple different ways to see what works for you. But this is what works for me. And I think it should work for most people. But I create different time blocks, and they're all color coordinated.
Yeah.
So I might have like 4 or 5 different time blocks, like CEO strategy time, or operations, or admin estimates, and they're all different colors. And I have all these repeating tasks, and they're just repeating tasks so that I know that I have time allotted for the things that I know that need to happen. but that's just how it starts. That's the blank slate. So I know that I need to spend time doing these different tasks, but the details of that are not input. I need to engage with my calendar every week. I'm engaging with it every day. I always have my calendar open because things are always changing. So the first thing I do, let's just say I'm just starting my calendar. The first thing I'm doing is I'm coming up with those calendar blocks.
The categories?
The categories.
Yeah.
And I'm figuring how much time should I be spending in any given week doing these things. So, all right, I want to spend 5 hours a week writing estimates. I want to spend 8 hours a week writing estimates. So I'm going to have 8-hour time blocks on my calendar. All the way down. Everything that you want to do, how much time should I be spending doing this? That's how many time blocks you want to create. What I'm doing at the beginning of every week is I'm putting in, or really, Friday. So looking at the coming week, I'm putting in what do I know that I'm doing that week. So I'll go into those time blocks and I will fill in the details. I will take time, like 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, detailing out what I want to be doing in that time. This is so that I don't get to that spot. I'm like, okay, I'm here to do my admin work and I have nothing planned. I just know I need to do admin work. That's no good.
Yeah.
You're going to just do the first thing that pops in your mind. And that might not be the thing that you need to be doing, but it might be the easiest.
You're going to open your emails and just start going through your emails and like, well, that's not admin work.
That's a great way to build your calendar.
Yeah.
That's a great way to add detail into your calendar. So I'll go into my calendar and I'll start writing notes. I might even, copy and paste a URL that I know I need to interact with doing that task, and I'll put it in there so I don't have to go looking for it.
Yeah.
And so I'll just put all those in there. Now I've got, maybe 4 things that I know I'm doing on Monday, 2 things I know I'm doing on Tuesday, a couple things, scattered about.
Got an estimate on Thursday that we know about. Yeah.
Yes. And as the week goes, so now it's Monday, I know exactly what I'm doing at the beginning of the day, and I've kind of got that mapped out. There's some areas that I know are kind of wiggle room because I know things happen. I know things might pop, come on my plate that I need to deal with. But I'm mapping everything out so that if that does happen, I can just take that time block and move it to when I have an open space or when I know that there's nothing actually planned for this time. That's just my placeholder time block. So I move it over there, not a problem. I'll be able to deal with that. I know that if this is something that's internal only and it's just me doing it, I don't need to send an email. I know what I'm doing with my time, but maybe it's a meeting with somebody that I need to move because this is more important. I know I need to email that person because they're attached to that task or that time block or whatever the case may be. Once I have all of that kind of planned out and I've got all of my tasks on the calendar, it's really important to make sure that you are continuing to interact with it, but also after Monday, I might go back and audit my day and say, okay, this is actually what happened in this time block. And I didn't actually do this, I did this. Like there's some retroactive work that you need to do to make your calendar true.
Yeah.
To make it represent what actually happened that day. So at the end of a week or at the end of a month, you can go back and look at your calendar and you can see a color coordination of how you spent your time.
Yeah.
And it makes it really easy to then audit yourself and say, how much time am I spending in admin work? How much time am I spending doing estimates? You might be able to look back at the past 3 weeks and say, we need to increase our estimates. We had a lot of work. We have a lot in the pipeline, but past 3 weeks, we haven't had many estimates. That's a flag.
Yeah. Well, and to pause right there, one thing that James is talking about is we have task types that you can create in the software. So if you go into your software, you go into the settings, you can add a task type. I have estimates as green, and you can make it a green color for estimate. So when I look at
money,
legit, and then I have reactive as red. And so anytime that I do something reactively, I'm going to retroactively put it on my calendar like, oh, crap, I spent an hour on hunting down these numbers, or
Yeah.
on the phone with the bank trying to clear up the bounce check or that someone gave me and dealing with that. Like that's reactive stuff, and it's going to happen. There is reactivity that has to happen in your job. I want to look at my calendar and see the 3 times this week when it happened, not 17 times this week when it happened.
Yeah.
And that can be my flag. But what James is saying is you can set up, estimates, admin, payroll, different things that you're doing on your calendar and have them different colors. And so you can really at a glance skim through your calendar. And to be honest, when I started doing this, I thought it was dumb, but I tried it because you suggested it. And I was like, why am I wasting my time redoing yesterday's calendar? But it really helps me get clarity on, oh crap, I did nothing from 3 to 5 yesterday. It was like I was piddling around on the internet. I don't know what happened. Where'd that time go? And so it really got me more efficient with my time by really knowing that accountability on myself is coming. And when you're a boss and you have project managers,
When you're a boss.
it's super helpful because you can look back and be like, bro, what happened on Tuesday for you? Because I don't see a lot on your calendar. Like, what? Oh, I was doing X, Y. Were you? Like, what really happened?
Yeah.
And so it really helps the accountability side as well as getting efficient with your time. And the color coding is kind of the next level, but it allows you to quickly just glance and be like, wow, the last 3 weeks I've got no red. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Or the last 3 weeks have been nothing but red and I don't have any green. That's a problem.
Yeah.
So,
The dang it, you said something that I was holding on to because I was like, I want to comment on that, and I forgot it. Anywho,
the reactive color code for green and red. It doesn't matter.
I got it. I got it. It's helpful to really try to look at your calendar without judgment, because that's when you're talking about reactive stuff. It's hard to go back and say, oh yeah, I didn't commit to what I said I was going to do. I actually spent time doing this. And even if it's just like you said, what did I do? I was like I was on some website looking at something and it felt productive in the moment, and just writing down what you did and like maybe the outcomes or something to see, because it only takes you a minute to do this, to type in what you did. And it might be that, okay, yeah, that was a waste of time. That wasn't good, but it's good to see your patterns.
Yeah.
And you can even see patterns like right after lunch is when I always end up doing something random. So maybe I just need space after that. Maybe I just need to like do something else because I'm not being productive anyway.
Yeah.
And I never get to the gym at the end of the day because I'm too annoyed or frustrated or things about all right, I'm going to go to the gym in this spot.
Yep.
Because that's something I know I want to do, and I'm wasting this time anyway.
The example from yesterday for me was I spent like an hour researching a trip that we might go on this summer.
Yeah.
Just because I like doing it. I like, what if we went here? What would be the cheaper flight? What if we stayed? Let me look at Airbnb. Let me look and it was an enjoyable thing for me, but it was from 3 to 4 and I had to plan for podcasts today, right? Like there was stuff that I wasn't getting done. And so I looked at it when I was doing it and I was like, oh, I got to throw this on my calendar. You know what? This is going to be my Friday. End of the day Friday, if I got space, I'm going to bless myself with the treat of do your research. Like go and have fun looking at flights and places that you're going to end up going with the family and
Looking
stuff like
at
that.
flights. Oh, baby. Oh, Southwest.
Ooh. Delta, bro. So yeah, it's an accountability, but it also kind of gives me the non-guilty feeling of, oh, I could do something fun. I can research that. I could, I'm running out of cigars in my humidor. I need to go find some more. Let me go find there's going to be a spot for that. And it's for me, it's kind of like a reward system. That's my end of the day. And if I get all my other stuff done by then, cool, I got to do the fun stuff. But setting it up and knowing and giving yourself that allowance is super helpful. I feel like also the way we're talking about calendars isn't realistic, and I wish we could show you guys our calendars because it legit is this way. Mm-hmm. It's just you don't start this way. You don't start this. You don't start with color coding and perfection and every minute captured. Where you need to start is we're going to own 1, 2 days, then 3 days. Oh, James has got his calendar pulled. Look at this. If you can see it, you can have it up higher. There you go. That's James's calendar if you're watching from on YouTube. But yeah, it is a way to feel and actually get accomplished this week the things that you actually need to accomplish. So, all right, let's keep going. What are some other rules or helpful things that you do with your calendar?
It's hard. It's just like an intuitive thing at this point. It's hard to really nail down. I always move time blocks. I don't delete them. So if I ever go in there and I put details in a time block, it needs to move somewhere. There's just not, if I take the time to write out, hey, these are the things that I'm going to do in this time block, there's just not really an excuse to delete that off. Like you've taken time, you had the thought to pursue this line of thinking, and you thought that it's going to be beneficial to whatever. You can keep moving that time block so long as it's not something that's, it's not a time block to get back to a client or to have a meeting with somebody and you keep pushing them off. Yeah. It's just this thought that you're like, I need to engage with this. This is something I really find a spot for it. It might be one of those fun things that's not, looking for cigars for your humidor, but it's like an idea for marketing that you want to continue to think through. Yeah. And like sometimes you just need an hour or two to just walk around and whiteboard and think through something while you're listening to music. Like that's works sometimes. Yeah. And that's okay. Like I think there is this stigma, especially in our line of work, that's like, if you're not doing something that's obviously and visually productive, then you're not doing it right. A lot of really good work gets done just in the headspace, in like the playground.
Yeah. And I think along with that, the one thing for me is I need to be super specific with my time slots, even if it's brainstorm. Mm-hmm. But like if I have a non-specific work on paperwork, I'm going to get through that. Yeah. I'm going to miss it, and I'm not going to reschedule that because there's not actually something waiting for me. If it was file all of the subcontractor paperwork into the software underneath each sub, there's an actual checkbox that I either did or did not do it. Yeah. So if I get on a call and our 10-minute phone call turns into an hour and a half talking about something specific, and all of a sudden I look down and I missed, I was going to file paperwork this afternoon, or I was going to update I was going to go in and do bank transactions in QuickBooks and match up all that stuff. If that was on your calendar and it was that specific, that's a pass fail, and I failed it. I haven't done it yet. So I can take it and I'm going to move it. Actually, I'm going to do this next Tuesday. I'm going to put it on Tuesday next week to do my bank transactions. Yeah. Which if it just says work on QuickBooks, I'm like, I kind of was in there. That's check enough. Yeah. Right. And it doesn't get rescheduled.
That's in the details of the time block. That's where I'm saying copy and paste a URL, or like that's a Google sheet that I know I need to go back to. I guess here's a good rule. Ambiguity kills. Yeah. If you leave a time block ambiguous and you're in a rush and there's other things going on and you just say work on QuickBooks, there's nothing that's going to tie you to that time. Yeah. You need to be specific. And that's why when you're mapping it out, Friday for the coming week, you can take an hour to look at your calendar, and that is like game planning time. Yeah. That's like the Tony Stark, everything on the wall, and you take time to journal in each time block what you're going to do with that time. Yeah. And it is a very effective way to map out your week and to give you a really clear picture of where your gaps of time are, so that you can accept reactive things and you can have a life and take your wife out to lunch and have a random date in the middle of the day.
Make it to the baseball practice, make it to the dance recital because I actually got the stuff done that I need to get done.
It would be so creepy if I did that, because my daughter is not old enough to be in those things yet, but like...
You still made it to a dance recital.
I made it to the dance recital. I made it to the ballpark. Way to go, kids.
Hey, who wants to throw a baseball?
Whose kid is that? He's fast. He's got a good swing.
So if you're listening to this, I know this is such a boring topic. This isn't a deep dive into
Not to
being
me.
a general contractor, but it's like, hey, everyone like I've never talked to someone who's not like, oh yeah, I gotta start calendaring. Like everyone knows they need to organize their time, lay out their calendar. It's the jump between I know I should do it and the self-discipline to actually do it that guys get stuck in. And that's where like I'll be coaching someone and they'll start doing their calendar and then it just kind of fades away because it just feels like busy work. And if it feels like busy work, you're doing it wrong. In the beginning, it might feel that way, but we're not just saying, okay, I'm going to do QuickBooks there. I'm opening it up. Okay, what should I be doing in that time slot? And then throughout the next 3 days, oh, I need to do that. Oh, I'm going to open up that task. I'm going to add that into the notes. Save it. Great. Let's do the next one. And so it is a constantly evolving list of things that you want to get done. But if you are trying to jump from, I know I need to do this to, I'm actually going to start doing this. I've written out kind of 3 steps that you should be taking to move that direction.
Great.
Number 1, I want 1 week of honesty. I want you to put everything on your calendar for 1 week. And if you're listening to this on, a Tuesday or a Thursday or a Friday, let's start with Monday next week. Let's look at your calendar from Monday through Friday next week, and let's try and plan it out. And on Friday this week, sit down and sketch out your entire week next week. And I want you to be honest. I want you to have 2 intentional chunks that you're blocking out that are like, I'm going to block out like, hey, we're going to do estimates on Thursdays and Wednesdays, and I'm going to leave open from noon to 5 for those estimates. So we're going to have some large chunks that when someone calls and says, hey, can you do an estimate for me? Yeah, let me check. Wednesday at noon I can because I've got that reserved for that. But I want to start really when I'm going to go out and be in the truck, I'm going to all that on one day. I want to try to really be efficient with my time to where I'm not going on an estimate on Tuesday and Wednesday and another one Thursday and another one Friday. But if I can line up 3 on Wednesday and 2 on Thursday, come back, write those up afterwards and really lay that out. Along with that, when I'm talking about going into estimates, if you're going to an estimate, I want 2 time blocks for that. So if I'm going to estimate Thursday morning from 9 to 10, I'm going to block out on my calendar 9 to 10. I'm going to be at 123 Main Street. And then I'm also going to look at my calendar and say, hey, Thursday from 3 to 4, I'm going to write that estimate up. So I want a secondary time block for the writing the estimate.
Let me go a step further.
Yeah.
You could actually make that 3 and put a tentative. I'm going to do my site estimate on Tuesday. I'm going to write it up on Wednesday. And I'm going to put a time block on Thursday and Friday, wherever it makes sense, as a tentative with the client. And then when I'm on site, I can say, hey, I'm going to have this done by Wednesday. Do you have any time Thursday or Friday in this time frame to review it with me?
Yep.
Because you want to keep pushing your clients to the next phase.
Yes.
And if you can map that out on your calendar and then you can delete one of those time blocks or you end up moving it, you're actually, they want you to keep them moving.
Yes.
If you leave a lag and a space for them to like, okay, I'm just going to sit with this and they start like mulling over everything. They're not going to pay you anything until they're ready to go. But the longer you let them drag their feet, the more time they have to consider every option under the sun. And then I know for me, I've reached out for like random things like, hey, I'm interested in talking about a HELOC or I'm interested in doing something like this. And 2 days later, I'm like, I have no time for that.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's how people interact with estimates. But you're going out to their house and spending your time, spending your gas, and you need to keep them engaged. Yeah. And that's one way to do it.
And that goes deeper into our sales process too. Of like, if you on Tuesday I go out to an estimate and I say, great, I'll let you know when I get it done. And then somewhere between Wednesday and next Tuesday, you actually find space at 11 o'clock at night to sit down and write it up. You write it up and you just send it by email to them. Hey, here's the estimate. Let me know if you have any questions. That is you literally bidding for the lowest common denominator of a contractor. That's you bidding based on price. They're only going to pick the cheapest person if all they're doing is getting a transactional. Here's how much how much this estimate is. Here's yes or no. It's $10,000. What did everybody else bid? And they're just going to go with the lowest bid. And so what we want to do, and what James is talking about by using the calendar in this, is Tuesday, I'm going to do the estimate. Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, I'm going to write it up. And I know that. So on Tuesday, when I'm there with James, like he said, hey, do you got time for a Zoom Thursday afternoon? I'd love to kind of review this estimate together, make sure I've captured everything you want.
I sure do, and I appreciate your candor.
Perfect. And let's put it on our calendar right now before I leave. But I'm also not saying, hey, I'm going to write the estimate for you, and can we review it on Thursday? They're going to say, no, just send it. So I always say, hey, I'm going to start writing up. I love to kind of go through it, make sure I've captured everything that we've talked about today. Then it's like a collaborative meeting. And so I send it I go on Tuesday, Wednesday, I write it up. Thursday, I haven't sent it to them. Thursday, we show up with the Zoom, and I pull it up on my computer, and I walk James through and say, okay, here's what I did here. Here's that cabinet line that we talked about. I put in the semi-custom ones with the poles that you were talking about. I did that. And so you're walking them through it as their guide, and then you present the final number, and it's justified. Yeah, but it's justified, that final number, because I've talked about every line item that makes sense. Yeah. And so when they're like, oh, 40,000, I guess that makes sense because the cabinets were 20 of that and this and so they start understanding it better. Again, that's going into our sales side of things. But it takes you owning your calendar to be able to do that. You have to know when you're going to be there, know when I'm going to write it up, and know when I have time to do that Zoom with them. Mm-hmm. And so if you're doing those things, you can't show up to the Zoom with it not written. You got to be planned and own your time. and the Zoom shows up because you've planned it.
Hey.
Like, hey. So
your house is great. Job looks fun.
Oh, estimate 80,000
in ballpark.
120. You got 60. We got 60. I'll do it for 60.
Yeah.
Right. So that's number one. We want to be, try that. Try with your next estimate, setting up those time blocks, scheduling it, and owning that. I want you, like I said, step 1 week of honesty. Own next week, own the estimate next week that you're going to do, set all this stuff up, and just try and be as honest as possible with it. You're not going to do it well the first week, but trying your hardest, what works, what doesn't work, how tight can you get your time blocks. Don't forget drive time. Don't forget other things that are going to, I've got a repeating lunch for an hour every single day. I don't spend an hour eating lunch, but that's my catch-up time. And I walk down from my office and eat lunch. What?
Just lunch and catch-up time.
Daddy likes his hot dogs. It's my catching up on things time. No,
Dude, it's still just I just picture you playing with ketchup.
So that's step 1. Get 1 week of honesty. We're gonna be as accurate as possible and retroactively set it up. Step 2, we're gonna fix one category. So we're gonna pick one category that causes us the most stress. With that, it's I'm gonna name the role clearly and add a quick setup note. So what's the most stressful part? Like some guys are really good at estimates and they can turn them out and they don't have to focus on it. Some people are like, I know it takes me 7 days, 12 days to get back with the client on an estimate. Cool. We're going to focus on really doing those 3 time blocks for your estimate. Maybe I'm about 4 months behind on QuickBooks. All right, let's double down next week on 2 time blocks for QuickBooks. And what are you going to do during those time blocks? Let's really define it. So find a stress point for you, something that you're not good at, something that you naturally just don't do, that you always put on the shelf. Let's two time blocks for that next week. Number 3, we're going to do a weekly audit. Once a week, I'm going to ask what stole time, what got protected, what needs a boundary next week. That's where we start going into the second week and the third week and the fourth week. So after you do this first week, I'm going to start looking at what stole my time. Where am I lying? Where's my calendar inaccurate? What do I need to protect better next week because I didn't do it well this week? What's getting ignored? I'm just trying to look at the data of what I've done and not the judgment, not the feelings, not the, oh man, I didn't do anything this week. I don't care about that. Let's write out what you did do and what we're going to do next week.
Yeah.
It's 1 week at a time. The way I really, if you don't use your calendar much outside of when you're going to go meet a client, if that's the only time you're using your calendar, the basics you have to be doing is I want you to own 1.5 days a week. I want you to own all day Tuesday. This is when we push our project managers. Monday, I'm out in the field checking every job. Tuesday, I'm in the office and I'm owning every minute. It's my Adderall day. It's my sit here and do everything perfect day. And I'm going to time block Tuesdays perfectly. Monday, go hit all your job sites. You don't have time blocks. Okay, that's fine. Step 1 is going to be owning Tuesday. Wednesday, Thursday, out in the field doing estimates, checking on jobs, starting crews, finishing crews. Friday, I want you to do a half day again. So Tuesday all day, Friday a half day. What do you need to get finished up? I need to cut checks. I need to balance the books. I need to return emails because it's been Wednesday and Thursday. I didn't respond to any emails, so I got to get to all my emails. I'm gonna do an hour for that. Whatever it is, I want you Tuesdays and Fridays, if those are your 2 office days, to do a day and a half of just blocking. Don't own all 5 days. It's okay. Start at doing 1.5 days. And if you can own that, then it goes into 2, then it goes into 3. And then we really start being dedicated and honest with our calendar. It's not about a pretty calendar. It's about reducing mental load and creating leverage. I think that's one of the guys see their calendar as a hurdle. And it's like, no, this is what gets rid of the other hurdles. So spending time doing this is really going to ease your calendar, ease your time, and allow you to really be way more productive than you've been to this point. If you've listened to all of this and you don't do your calendar, there's nothing we can do to help at this point.
Nothing.
This is so important, and we can't drive it in enough, but owning your time is the only way that we grow your company. And so if you are in coaching or not in coaching or thinking about coaching, this is a great place to start time blocking. Our coaching program, when I'm meeting with you, it's an hour a week. It's not, you're not dedicating 10 hours a week to have to do this stuff. We are taking baby steps to growth, and it's not about getting there by next week. It's about getting there by next year. It's 2026 is setting up the foundation for 2027 to pour the gas on with the revenue and to grow the company. So we're starting out using a calendar, time blocking, owning that stuff. And if you want help with this, we'd love to help you with it. Go to ProStruct360.com to sign up for the software. You can go to Contractor Cuts if you want to contact us, set up a call with myself or James. We'd love to talk to you about how we do this and your company and see if we can help you. All right. Thanks so much for listening. We'll talk to you next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.